straight goals to defeat Canucks 6-5 in NHL shootout. Silvertips down Giants 3-2 in Western Hockey League action. The Washington Wizards host the Minnesota Timberwolves. Nationals fans in Washington, D.C. celebrate the World Series win. The nation's capital hosts a victory parade for the World Series champions. And Shatter the Silence Walk aims to break the cycle of domestic violence. Hello everyone, I'm Frendel Feheran, bringing you sports stories from around the globe. This is a good part of the year for many sports fans. Baseball just finished an exciting season, NFL football is in full swing, the NBA is starting up, and yes, hockey is heating up the ice. For our first story, let's go to National Hockey League action where the Washington Capitals face off against the Vancouver Canucks. Anthony Sevilla has a report from Rogers Arena. Anthony?
The Washington Capitals rallied back from a 5-2 deficit heading into the third period, forcing the game into overtime and defeating the Vancouver Canucks 6-5 in a shootout at Rogers Arena. Michael Kempny and Evgeny Kuznetsov led the Capitals in scoring. Both notched a pair of goals each, while Canucks forward Tim Schaller scored a pair of goals also.
The Vancouver Canucks led the Washington Capitals 2-1 after the first period. The Canucks caught fire in the second period by scoring 3 straight goals from Elias Pettersson, Jake Virtanen, and Tim Schaller. Schaller's goal in the second period made it his second goal of the game and his second goal of the year. However, Capitals forward Evgeny Kuznetsov notched his second goal of the game in the final seconds of the period, completely shifting the momentum heading into the third. Washington pulled one of the biggest comebacks this season. Lars Eller inked his 4th of the season, and Michael Kempny scored back-to-back goals in the third period and forced the game into overtime, leading to the 6-5 shootout win for the Capitals.
You know, I love the way that we didn't give up, and huge comeback, huge win for us. We just tried to, come back in third period, and that's what we did, and huge 2 points.
That's huge 2 points for us, and get back from 5-1. That means a lot for guys inside the team. We stick to each other. We stay with the game plan. Even the game not going well, we give up some bad goals forever, but we stick with that plan and we get the results.
Canucks head coach Travis Green showed his disappointment after the loss, especially being up 5-1, but also showed respect to the Capitals' adversity.
You expect to win that game, but you see it a lot. Momentum changes fast. We could have put them away. But again, I got to be realistic with our group, and we did some good things, some things we can build off of going into next game, and you'd like to have the 2 points tonight. Whenever you're up 5-1, you don't expect that you're going to be standing here talking about a loss. And give their team credit. They've been through these games many times. They're a big, strong team. You could see it in certain areas of the game where I thought we lost a few puck battles and certain situations. And again, they're built to win Stanley Cups, and we can learn a lot from this game.
Washington end their Western Canada road trip and will head back to D.C., where they will host a pair of home games. The 2 points earned tonight puts them in the top spot in the Metropolitan Division. The Canucks' loss separated them from the rest of their division, which dropped Vancouver to the bottom of the Pacific Division. Anthony Sevilla, Eagle News, 1/25.
Thanks, Anthony. Many are familiar with the NHL, but for die-hard hockey fans, the WHL or Western Hockey League is also a way for their appetite for the game to be satisfied. Let's stay in Canada as the Vancouver Giants hosted the Everett Silvertips. Jolty Horvath has the report.
The rivalry of the I-5 was reignited as the Everett Silvertips rolled into the Langley Event Center and defeated the Vancouver Giants 3-2. Silvertips forward Jackson Berezowski scored the game winner in the second period, while netminder Dustin Wolf had 34 saves. The Vancouver Giants started the game off strong, taking a 2-0 lead while registering 14 shots in the first period. Dylan Plouffe notched his second goal of the season for the Giants, while Cole Shepard increased the Giants' lead to 2-0 on a power play goal. Shepard has now scored 2 goals in a 3-game span. With less than a minute left in the period, Silvertips forward Martin Fasco-Rudis tipped home a Wyatt Wiley point shot to bring the Silvertips right back in the game. The second period did not come without controversy, as the Giants were penalized 6 straight times in a span of 10 minutes. The Silvertips did their best to capitalize on the man advantage and scored 2 more unanswered goals to take the lead 3-2 heading into the third. Wyatt Wiley tied the game for Everett on a power play, while Jackson Berezowski took the lead with the third straight unanswered goal. Giants head coach Michael Dick had little to say about how 6 straight penalties even occurred.
Well, a combination, a little bit of frustration and some poor officiating. I mean, there could have easily been some calls going the other way.
The third period showed the full force of the Giants, who fired off 13 shots, which included hitting 2 crossbars and a goalpost, but they were unable to solve Dustin Wolf. The first star of the game in Calgary Flames prospect held his own, saving all 13 of the shots. Giants coach gave credit where it was due when it came to how and why the game was won by the Silvertips.
Again, we directed a lot of pucks his way, and he deserves some credit, obviously, for getting the win.
With the victory, the Everett Silvertips moved up to a tie for first place in the Western Conference, while the Giants fell to 5th place. The Giants and Silvertips will meet 3 more times this season, with the next rematch scheduled for December 14th in Everett. Zsolti Horvath, Eagle News, 1/25.
From hockey, let's now go to basketball. The much-anticipated NBA season has started, and in the nation's capital, the Washington Wizards hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves on Saturday. Ken Cruz has the story. Ken?
Tonight, the 1-3 Washington Wizards host the 3-1 Minnesota Timberwolves here at Capital One Arena. The T-Wolves will be without their star big man, Karl Anthony Towns, who's serving a 2-game suspension following his in-game fight with Joel Embiid of the 76ers this past Wednesday. They'll still have their high-scoring small forward, Andrew Wiggins, who's averaging 20 points and 6 rebounds. The Wizards will be counting on their underrated superstar, Bradley Beal, who's averaging 27 points and 8 assists so far. They're also leaning on their half-Japanese rookie, Rui Hachimura, who's had an impressive start to his NBA career, averaging 18 points and 7 rebounds in this young season. With the Nationals celebrating their World Series win with a parade earlier today, the Wizards are looking to add to the DC winning culture with a victory tonight.
We didn't play good defense, obviously. Offense, offense fine for us, it's nothing wrong, but then defense and rebounds, the key to win all the games. You just gotta play hard, sometimes as a team, we play bad, but we got to keep playing hard. The defense and the offense, the defense and the rebounding stuff, and the bruise ball and stuff. That's how we get going.
Yeah, safe to say we come out with our energy we've had the previous games. It's kind of just trickle down effect. We kind of, from my perspective, anyway, it was like our offense struggles kind of carried over onto our defense, and we weren't guarding anybody. Yeah, we didn't play hard. That was. I feel like they didn't do anything, outrageous game-wise or plays-wise. They're just outworking us in every aspect of the game. It is that fine line of just knowing that we are young. We may have games like this, but at the same time, we don't want it to be okay. We're not just accepting it. We got to get better and correct things.
For whatever reason, we didn't have the effort. We didn't play hard. We was a step slow in every aspect of the game. And when things like that happen, the scores like this, cut the lead to 4 at one point, and then they went back up 20. So when that happens, it's tough because you waste all your energy trying to, fight back. They played a hell of a game, so you got to tip your hat off to them. But we can play better. That was an embarrassing game for us. It should not happen again. We shouldn't play so well that we should have beat the Houston Rockets the day before, and then lose by 30. Minnesota Timberwolves without, their best players. So that's definitely embarrassing. We got to learn from that, and we got to be better. Be the hardest playing team every night, or we won't give ourselves a chance. And if we don't understand that, then it'll be a long season for us. We have goals of making the playoffs and surprising people. We just got to not talk about it and be about it.
It was not a pretty one for the Wizards, as the Timberwolves dominated the entire game and finished with a final score of 131-109. Andrew Wiggins led the Wolves with 21 points and 6 assists, with Jeff Teague adding in 15 points and 13 assists. It seemed the only person able to buy a bucket for the Wizards today was Bradley Beal, who poured in 30 points in only 28 minutes. Rui struggled and only contributed 4 points. For Eagle News, I'm Ken Cruz, 1 with 25.
When we return, Nationals fans in Washington, D.C. celebrate the World Series win. The nation's capital hosts a victory of parade for the World Series champions. And Shatter the Silence Walk aims to break the cycle of domestic violence. Don't go too far. EBC Sports International will return in a moment.
Para sa mga viewers namin sa Middle East at North Africa via OSN,
hello sa inyong lahat dyan. Ako po si Madeline Villar Moratillo.
Ako po si Cristal Pisalbon at araw-araw ninyong makakasama sa Aguila Provincia.
Dito sa Net25 at OSN, siguradong at home ka dito.
Ibinunyag ni Senador Richard Gordon na ang karamihan sa 12...
Tamang impormasyon.
Sabi ng Senador, matindi ang pagkakadismaya ng Pangulo sa mga...
Patas.
Hinimok naman ni Guevara ang mga DOJ officials at employees na magdiwang.
Wala nang isiningit na pork barrel sa panukalang budget para sa susunod na taon.
We're very confident that this bill will pass.
Tapat.
Batay sa pinakahuling report, nakapasok na sa lalawigan ng Pangasinan ang mga karne ng baboy na kontaminado ng African Swine Fever.
Tim Cone walang aaksayang panahon bilang bagong head coach ng Gilas Pilipinas.
Nakuha ni Juan J.M. Omboy ng Trackma Knights ang panalo laban kay Almerito Penetrado ng Trackma Warriors.
Asuman yung kabuuan ng mga balita
ng Agila, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 6 hanggang alas 7:30 ng gabi. At Mata ng Agila Weekend, Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Dito sa himpilang naghahatid ng mga makabuluhang balita, edutainment, at isyong may kinalaman sa teknolohiya. Net25.
Agila Balita, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 12 ng tanghali hanggang alauna ng hapon.
Welcome back to this edition of EBC Sports International. I'm Frenzel Faharan coming to you from Seattle, Washington. Thanks for tuning in. The euphoria that filled the Washington, D.C. air lingered until the wee hours of the morning after the Washington Nationals came back to secure the MLB championship, defeating the Houston Astros 6-2 in Game 7 of the 2019 World Series. For some reason, the skies celebrated early in D.C. with rain. A sea of red and W's braved the drizzle to support their beloved Nats from the home field stadium. After losing the 3 home games at National Park, Nat fans were wishing for a fairy tale ending to their Cinderella season. The Nationals brought the World Series back to the nation's capital after 86 years of the Fall Classic not being played in the district. They also became the first World Series champion team that did not win a game at home. And in dramatic fashion, the team captured its first World Series appearance and title for the franchise since Major League Baseball returned to the district in 2005. The excitement of winning the World Series didn't go away overnight. In fact, a few days after Victory Parade was held in Washington, D.C. to celebrate the first Major League Baseball championship title in Nationals franchise history. Here's a look at what happened.
There's a lot of things going on here in the United States, particularly here in the nation's capital. Large and serious issues like threats of war, the economy, impeachment. Today, for the people gathered here in the streets of DC, none of those things are a priority at the moment because the Washington Nationals are the World Series champions for the first time in the franchise's history. Although some people just became fans of the Nats recently, the World Series win by Washington had just as much impact.
It's amazing. We've gone with a couple of other DC teams. We haven't had the best of luck, but I mean, pretty cool, especially now coming to the parade, seeing everybody just united as one is pretty cool.
My first time, and even if they make it, it's amazing.
For longtime Nationals fans, this win meant so much more.
Being from DC, born and raised, and of course being a supporter of every home team, Wizards, Redskins, Nats, when they were 19 and 31, of course, you lose a player like Bryce Harper, it's like, okay, well, it's just another DC team, another bad season. But when they turned it around and, eventually winning 90 games, it was like, okay, and actually getting into the wild card round, I was like, okay, maybe we got something here, but they're probably going to lose. And then seeing them make it out of the wild card round, and then beating the Dodgers, and then beating the Cardinals, it was like, okay, I think we're on to something. And making it to the World Series, of course, was pretty big.
Whether one was a first-time admirer of the Nats or a loyal fan who's witnessed the ups and downs of the franchise, many agreed that the win and even the victory parade brought Washington, D.C. together.
I feel like it helps us just because, like I said, you could see during the parade, everyone was just united. Everyone's energy and their vibes just kind of pumped everyone else up. Everybody was just friends with each other without even knowing our names. It was pretty cool.
Seeing DC win, it actually gave a lot of hope for the city because, like I said, being from DC, growing up in DC, you don't really have much to cheer about. But the baseball team winning, it's like it's a different atmosphere. It actually brings a lot of people together, especially with everything that DC has been through the past 4 or 5 years. It brings the human out of people. You see that in more ways than none, we're actually all pretty much alike. And we can all come together and cheer for a common cause.
From the Nationals victory celebration here in Washington, D.C., I'm Ken Cruz, 125.
Congratulations to the Washington Nationals on winning the 2019 World Series. You are the champions, my friends. Our next story isn't our typical sports coverage item. Yes, it does deal with the sport, running, or for other participants, walking. Recently in Maryland, law enforcement officials organized a 5K walk and run dubbed Shatter the Silence. This walk concentrated not so much on who crossed the finish line, but on why they were walking in the first place. Alisa Gonzalez Maglitmot with the story.
For several years now, every October, a group of law enforcers in Maryland gathers members of the community for an awareness walk to battle domestic violence. Dubbed Shatter the Silence, this annual walk reaches out to victims of violence at home by letting them know help is available to them. All they need to do is to come forward and speak up.
Domestic violence touches everyone's lives. It doesn't discriminate. Age, gender, nationality, socioeconomic status, it doesn't matter. Domestic violence and sexual assault is an epidemic in our community, and we have to stop it. So, as a part of law enforcement, in a non-enforcement capacity, we felt that it was important to show our community the support that they need, and we collaborated with the hospital and churches, and as a result of that, we have a group of wonderful people coming together to show their support to survivors.
This event is very close to my heart. It's exactly what our shirt says, Shatter the Silence. With domestic violence being something that people are ashamed of and don't want to talk about, is very prevalent in our community. And we want to have a safe place here where we have resources, where you can come and you can get help. You have people here who have been directly impacted and indirectly impacted, and people who just want to be here for you and support the cause.
Maryland is one of the higher ranking states for domestic violence for men and women, and we take it very serious.
Because a lot of people think that they have to be silent about the things that happen, not only domestic violence, but sexual assault as well. So this is to shatter the silence, to get rid of the stigmatism that people think that are attached to those two things. We want people to come forward, we want people to be safe, and that's what this is about. As law enforcement officers, as females, we want them to know that it's not a division. We want to be there to help them, and we want to be a part of everything, and we understand and we sympathize.
Is that it raises awareness. It brings awareness to all of the people who were here and all the people who are paying attention to this. And that makes them a little more interested in getting involved or being aware of things that are going on, maybe helping people out. It also helps people be aware of services that are available for them here in the county. Ours is one. We're a hospital-based sexual assault center and domestic violence center, and so we are able to provide services from the hospital. But there are other organizations as well, and so it makes people more aware of the services around them.
And when we talk about domestic violence, we're really talking about intimate partner. We're talking about relationships, children are involved, and so we're affecting multi-generations a lot of times when these occurrences occur. And I believe personally, from my perspective, it's so important now that I know, witness it myself, working with this wonderful organization, working with our partners, I'm now able to tell other generations, my sons who are now men who are in relationships, we can tell our children what to look for in healthy relationships.
And when we learned about this activity sponsored by the National Park Police, it encouraged us to extend help, at least raise awareness concerning this issue, because we know this is a very delicate issue, especially here in this part of the world. And at least the brethren will be aware, and it will encourage even the other members of the community to join in and at least prevent things from happening, especially for me. For example, I have my kids too. I don't want them to be victims concerned to these acts of violence. So the Church of Christ, through the approval of our beloved Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, were allowed to join such an activity.
To shatter the silence of domestic violence, one needs to know there is support out there. Reporting from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot for Eagle News, 1 with 25.
We've come to another episode of EBC Sports International. Thank you so much for being with us this week. Be sure to join us for the next episode. But before then, make sure you visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenewsph. And it's been a pleasure, and we thank you again for watching. I'm Fendel Feheran, 1 with 25.